Welcome back to Learn Economia. In this video, we'll be discussing the short-term supply curve of commodity firm. We know that supply is a quantity which is offered for sale at a given price at a particular period of time. Now, supply curve actually shows the maximum quantities per unit of time which sellers will place in the market at various prices. We know that at higher price there would be greater quantity which is supplied in the market, and at a lower price less quantity would be supplied in the market. And supply of a commodity is something that is derived out of the cost function, which is very important to understand. And all supply curves are cost curves, but it's important to note that all cost curves are not supply curves. Okay, now coming to perfect competition, especially when it comes to short period, MC curve is considered to be the supply curve. MC curve, as we all know, it's U-shaped and it has both positive and negative slopes, while supply curve is usually positive sloping. So we must not consider the negative or downward sloping portion of the MC curve. Only the rising portion or the upward portion of the MC curve is taken into account while we discuss about supply curve. So in other words, we can see that the rising portion of MC curve, or that portion of MC curve which lies above the average variable cost curve, is considered to be the supply curve, especially in a competitive firm, especially in short run. Okay, now coming to perfect competition, a firm will produce that amount of output when the price equals its marginal cost. As the price is given to a firm, the price line becomes parallel to the horizontal axis. Okay, and this amounts to saying that the demand curve or the AR curve that coincides with the MR curve becomes perfectly elastic. In the figure, you can see how we could derive this SMC or supply curve from the marginal cost curve. Okay, here in the figure you could see that at price OP what happens is that the firm is in equilibrium at point R, and at this point what happens is that all conditions for equilibrium are satisfied. There are two basic conditions which have to be satisfied in order to attain equilibrium. First one is the MC equal to MR, and second is that MC curve should cut the MR curve from below. These are the two conditions which are to be satisfied in order to attain equilibrium, and at point R both these conditions are satisfied. Corresponding to this equilibrium point, what happens is that the firm produces OQ level of output, and corresponding to OQ level of output, the total revenue earned by the firm is OPRQ. But costs are higher than revenue at this point because average variable cost and short-run average cost. These curves lie above the OP price line. Here, at this output level, what happens is that the firm not only fails to cover up its fixed cost, but also a part of its variable cost is not being covered. As the ABC exceeds the price, what happens is that the firm should go out of the business. So when price is below the average variable cost, what happens is that short-run equilibrium output would be 0. Now, at price OP1, what happens is that the firm reaches equilibrium at point M, where MP equals MC. It produces, or the firm produces OQ1 level of output, and it earns a revenue which is equal to OP1 M21. Okay, and at this output level, though we could see that the cost exceeds revenue, the firm manages just its variable cost only. It does not cover up its fixed cost. Even then, the firm will continue production in short run in view of producing larger output in future. The firm expects to manage fixed costs in future. Here at OP1 price level, what happens is that we know that MC equal to the minimum average variable cost, and at this point what happens is that MC equal to ABC, and it is considered to be the shutdown point or closing down point. The firm has to apply its judgment whether it should stop production at this point of time in the short run, or whether it can continue production at the hope of expecting that it could recover some cost, especially in the short run. In view of this, shutdown point is considered to be the zero contribution margin, but below the shutdown point, the firm experiences negative contribution margin. Coming to the price OP2, what happens is the firm covers up not only the variable cost but also fixed cost. That is, at point N, what happens is that MC equals minimum SAC, and corresponding to OP2, the quantity produced is OQ2, and the total revenue received is OOP2NQ2, and the total cost here is OP2NQ2, the same thing, that is MC equals SAVC and total revenue equals total cost. This is known as a break-even point. And similarly at OP3, what happens is that the firm will produce and supply OQ3 level of output and earns an excess profit. Points S, B, D, etc. on panel B are considered to be prices OP1, OP2 and OP3 respectively. By joining these points, what you get is the supply curve, which is S1. MC curve which lie above the AVC curve is the supply curve, or MC curve which lie above the shutdown point is considered to be the supply curve. And supply drops to zero if the price of the commodity falls below AVC. Now, we know that even though this is case, we know that the numerous firms are there in a competitive industry and each firm can produce that quantity of goods where its MC intersects a horizontal AR equals MR curve, and all the firms sell product at the same price. Therefore, it is apparent that the industry supply curve in the short run under perfect competition is equal to the horizontal summation of all the firm supply curve, or the MC curve, which is above the minimum point of the AVC curve. Thus, like individual supply curve, short run industry supply curve is also upward sloping. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe this channel for more videos.